Welcome to our Weather Impact Report, where we take a look at the top weather stories here in Georgia and around the nation. I'm meteorologist Danielle Moss. This week was a very busy weather week for weather. We had severe weather here in Georgia and storms all over the nation. So let's get right on into it. The people in Seminole County, Florida, had their first taste of severe weather on Monday last week. The National Weather Service says an EF2 tornado cut close to 2 miles through the county. This subdivision that you're seeing got the worst of it. Homeowners said they did not have much time to take cover and that the actual tornado lasted about 30 seconds and it was very scary. Officials say some homes in the subdivision were not touched. Well, they say it never rains in Southern California. Well, severe weather hit near Los Angeles Thursday and prompted a multi-vehicle rescue. This is a rescue of multiple vehicles in San Jacinto after a mudslide left several people stranded due to debris blocking the roadway. A swift water rescue team was deployed and successfully escorted 6 people to safety. Paramedics evaluated all 6 people at the scene and they were released without serious injuries. The mudslides were triggered by a late winter storm that swept through Southern California overnight, bringing steady rainfall across the region. That same system caused an EF0 tornado to touch down in Los Angeles neighborhood early Thursday morning, leaving behind plenty of damage. Video has emerged showing the moment the storm moved through, uprooting trees and damaging vehicles and homes. Despite being considered a weak tornado by the National Weather Service, the twister left quite an impression as 85-mile-an-hour winds whipped through the street. The damage stretched for about 1 mile, with the tornado lasting only about 2 minutes. Fortunately, no injuries were reported.
I wake up, I look out the window, I started seeing the tree coming down. I told my wife, get the kids. I was running for my life.
Something that we don't see too often in Georgia, a massive dust storm. But the people of Texas had one on their hands on Friday. Fueled by hurricane-force winds, the dust storm caused multiple wrecks and sparked wildfires across the Texas Panhandle. Take a look at the damage in the Amarillo area. The first video you're seeing was of a rollover crash in Oldham County. Despite that wreck, no one was injured. There's also a rollover in Randall County, which caused traffic to be blocked and led to other wrecks on the road. A house fire also in Randall County led to a brief evacuation of the entire area. In case you're ever caught in a dust storm, the National Weather Service recommends people do not drive through them. Well, Friday was also the first day of a multi-day severe weather event. The dust storm and high winds in Texas was just the start of the long weekend for the Southeast. Missouri was the first state to face severe weather. Fast-paced storms led to quickly evolving conditions, including several tornado warnings in the St. Louis region on Friday evening. This was the scene just outside of St. Louis in the city of Eureka. Back in the metro area, tornado sirens went off several times on Friday. Down power lines and outages also made travel in some areas very dangerous. Elsewhere in the state, at least 3 weather-related fatalities were reported. One place that was hit by those tornadoes in Missouri was the community of Villa Ridge. Less than 48 hours after the storm struck, several families are now sharing their stories of survival as they assess the damage left behind. Annie Crawl has more.
This is some of the worst damage we've seen in Franklin County. I'm on Baker Street, and it is a skeleton of what it looked like just a few days ago. Roofs completely ripped off from the high-speed winds, wood splintered, and windows smashed. It looks like a horrific movie set, but keep in mind, this is someone's home. In fact, it's David and Jennifer Leaf's home. They had to jump on top of one of their children during the storm because the roof was caving in.
Something's going to be figured out. What? I don't know.
Meanwhile, it was the dad, David's face, that got cut up by the broken glass from their windows being blown in. All of this coming as the National Weather Service confirms an EF2 tornado ripped through Villa Ridge on Friday night.
It was too much going on to be scary. You just knew stuff was hitting you all over the place, and then coming down on top of you, and you just knew, I knew where the stairs were. I needed to get to the stairs.
The Leaf family has been living in a nearby Super 8 since the storm. One of David's co-workers has stepped up to pay for it until Tuesday. But past that, he's asking people to reach out so they can find a short-term rental, since this damage will take a lot longer than this week to get fixed.
Our neighbors probably think we're a little crazy because we were all sitting out here and we were just, praising God, we were all alive.
The wind, hail, and tree damage is just gruesome on some parts of Baker Street. You have cars completely undrivable because there's so much broken glass inside of them. Then you also have tree branches thrown around as if they were leaves. On certain parts of Baker Street, though, houses are completely untouched, showcasing the unpredictability of Friday's storm.
Well, now let's talk about the cleanup efforts that are ongoing in Arkansas, where a powerful EF3 tornado tore through a town on Friday, leaving behind a trail of damage. Check out this video. Amazingly, no lives were lost. The mayor is even calling it a miracle. 5 people were hurt, and the storm packed winds up to 165 miles per hour. Now, crews are still working hard to clear the debris and help the community rebuild. Catherine Thornberry has more on the story.
Winds at 165 miles per hour tore through Cave City on Friday night.
It looked like it just tore people's homes away. I mean, it was something I've never seen before.
The National Weather Service calls it an EF3 tornado. Dean Hastings calls it terrifying as he rushed to take cover in his home.
We had some noise going on. The wind was really blowing. Then it got eerie quiet, and it sounded like a train. That's what they say. And next thing you know, it got quiet again. It was over with.
Hastings has lived in Cave City his whole life. He says to walk outside and see a town that's almost unrecognizable is heartbreaking.
When I just saw the devastation, I just went home and cried.
Our beautiful town, just nothing there anymore.
Samantha Walker says the warmth from her town is no longer there. But there are people building it back up, donating water, food, and other supplies and taking them to those in need. And as the mayor sets the city under a state of emergency, Walker wonders how long she'll have to drive through the debris-coated town.
How long will this take for us to be able to get back to normal? I hate going into town now and seeing all the devastation. I want to see more happiness in life.
A lot of people wondering how long. Well, on Friday of last week, we were bracing for severe weather that would arrive Saturday night. 11 Alive Chase Howell looked back at a tornado that ripped through downtown Atlanta 17 years ago. The twister not only caused widespread damage, but killed 1 person and injured dozens more.
On March 14, 2008, an EF2 tornado blew through downtown Atlanta, blowing out the windows of the Westin Hotel and causing significant damage across the metro. One place hit the hardest, the Cabbagetown neighborhood on the city's east side.
I was actually cooking, and Charles went to close the front door, and when he did, all the pictures flew off of the piano.
11 Alive interviewed Bertha Wise Jr. as she was cleaning up around her home a few days after the tornado hit.
And the car actually saved the house when the tree fell on the car enough so it wouldn't smash the roof.
17 years later, Wise still lives there, and we watched that same interview and caught up on what she remembers from that day.
People walking up and down the street, people surveying their property, strangers coming from inside of Cabbagetown, outside of Cabbagetown to help.
Since then, Wise has rebuilt and the windows at the Westin have been replaced. But what if a tornado hit downtown now?
The city is prepared to respond.
Asher Morris is with Atlanta's emergency response team. He says the city has been monitoring the severe weather that could cause tornadoes downtown and have been in communication with various agencies to create a game plan if it were to happen.
So as soon as the tornado or any type of major weather incident would clear, obviously our first responders are ready to respond to any type of 911 call. So they'll go out. We'll also depend on many of our other crews that are out on the streets to do any type of preliminary damage assessments and make sure that we cover all of our bases.
Over the last nearly 2 decades, a lot has changed throughout the metro, like the amount of apartment buildings. Morris says if you hear about a tornado warning and live in a high-rise, to move to a lower level and away from windows.
If you can't get there, or if that doesn't exist and there's an internal, again, I'll emphasize an inside stairwell, not outside, inside stairwell, that's another place that you can go, or a breezeway inside as long as it's enclosed.
Well, as we all know, the violent weather did not stop on Friday. Parts of the Midwest and South were hit hard on Saturday, too. The National Weather Service reported a strong tornado was on the ground in southern Mississippi Saturday evening. Take a look at this video of the storm as it tossed debris more than 25,000 feet into the air. A couple from Taylorsville, Mississippi, captured a video of a funnel cloud moving through the city. Authorities issued a tornado emergency for a number of towns in the storm's path. That is the highest level of tornado warning. When tornadoes become this violent, they are capable of producing winds in excess of 200 miles per hour. The storms can topple homes, building, trees, and power lines. The highly active storm system with multiple confirmed tornadoes moved through the Pine Belt on Saturday as well. Walthall County, Mississippi Sheriff said there have been 3 deaths and multiple injuries due to tornadoes in the area. The National Weather Service indicated the debris loft of one of the tornadoes reached more than 17,000 feet into the air. More than 20 severe weather reports were logged by Saturday afternoon. And by 9 p.m. on Saturday night, those storms were headed our way here in Atlanta. Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb and I started streaming on 11 Live Plus and stayed on the air for hours. We now know that a high-end EF1 tornado touched down in Paulding County. The storm stayed on the ground for 12 minutes. Thankfully, no one was injured. 11 Alive's Angelina Salcido spoke with neighbors less than 12 hours after the tornado changed their lives.
The lights were flickering on and off.
Chaos overnight.
It's dark. You hear things flying. So, we go to the bathroom.
Kaylee York and Scott Bingham hang on to one another while their Paulding County neighborhood is turned upside down.
You think it's gonna, you see videos of other people going through it, but you never think that you'd go through something like this.
Powerful storms sent trees crashing through their 3-year-old's room. Kaylee's grandma left pinned in her bed after a tree hit her home a few houses away.
A big branch literally landed right next to her hip, next to her side, and one of the little small branches went through her pajama pants, or pajama shirt, and had her pinned in the bed.
But she survived.
God's blessing.
It's just all God.
Just about 15 minutes away, the strength of these winds literally picked up an awning at this gas station that was being held by this concrete, lifted it up and threw it on top of the roof of this building.
The fire department's like, we had to walk from the stop sign. We couldn't even drive our truck down here.
So there were about 70 trees down.
While crews try to get trees off roads and power back on, neighbors work to help one another.
They're even willing to start first thing in the morning with chainsaws or anything they have to help. Because there's no telling how long it's going to take.
Angelina Salcido, 11 Alive News.
And the cleanup is just beginning. 11 Alive's Grace King is tracking recovery efforts in Dallas.
On Monday, the sun shining down on the tornado path in Paulding County.
And we were just scared out of nowhere and had to jump and run and get everybody into our garage. And just a few seconds later, it was all said and done.
Rows of toppled trees now chopped up into pieces, ready to be hauled away.
It's heartbreaking because we got to help out our community. We had to help them yesterday, clean up their backyard a little bit.
The Perez family lost a giant tree in their yard that thankfully fell away from their home.
And thank goodness it fell down this way, not towards our house.
It's falling right where we were at in our garage.
But after seeing the damage at their neighbors' homes, they decided many of their surrounding trees will have to come down too.
Just cleaning up right now and getting rid of the other ones.
Yeah, definitely.
The four that's left are leaving. Can't do it. That was too much, too scary.
Those trees also knocked out power for roughly 30,000 people.
The power lines were down, so you couldn't really drive out or in. The lines were on the pavement.
The power is back on in most of Paulding County, but it's going to take crews some time to restore the rest of the power for these harder hit areas like Danzy Road. They had to bring in new poles and new lines.
But it was a disaster. Once I saw what was there, they did a great job.
John Bierman is grateful the outages and the damage aren't worse. All of his neighbors escaped without serious injuries. In Dallas, Grace King, 11 Alive News.
A lot of cleanup still to go, and there are still multiple questions. Hundreds of people reached out to us asking why no one heard sirens as the tornado crushed homes in its path. Our Caitlin Ross is getting those answers.
Destroyed in seconds.
As I was running and as he was running, the ceiling started to collapse on us, and I saw cracks, and it was just, we had seconds to get downstairs.
The Burgess family home hit by an EF1 tornado without warning.
It was on us that fast. No warnings, I didn't hear any sirens.
In the aftermath, they asked 11 Alive why.
We didn't get any sirens.
Their family's concerns echoed over and over again online, with people in Paulding County asking why no one heard the sirens as the tornado touched down.
Sirens are not a reliable way to get warnings.
11 Alive meteorologist Melissa Nord says there are more reliable ways to keep your family safe.
Sirens were really designed so that people outside knew there was bad weather coming and they could move indoors.
But even if you're walking outside in Paulding County, you won't hear a weather siren go off because they don't have them. The Paulding County EMA director told 11 Alive they rely on the modern day weather siren for alerts, your cell phone.
Paulding County EMA Director Stephen Dooley told 11 Alive while they do not have sirens, the Code Red app alerts residents to tornado warnings, flash floods, and severe weather. But residents have to sign up. People input their address and then get a direct alert for any weather that will impact their home. And Nord says people should also activate wireless alerts on their cell phones.
I always say have multiple ways to get warnings. If one method fails, you have a backup ready to go.
Reporting in Paulding County, Caitlin Ross, 11 Alive News.
Well, here in Fulton County, the storms lit up the sky with a lightning show. Check out this video from Harold Roberts, who took it from Sidney Marcus Boulevard at Lenox Road. You can see the strong lightning hit the Bank of America building. Crazy. And our 11 Alive morning show anchor Cheryl Preheim sent us this video of some bright lightning and wind whipping around the side of the house in Tyrone, Georgia. And while the worst of the storm was in Paulding County, 11 Alive Zach Merchant gives us a closer look at the impact felt here in Metro Atlanta.
Cleanup efforts began early Sunday morning following a strong line of overnight storms that brought wind, rain, and lightning to Metro Atlanta.
You're always going to be scared when you see stuff like that.
The rough weather damaged a power pole in Stanley Marsh's southwest Atlanta neighborhood on North Olympian Way.
All we could hear was a cracking right down here.
The storm's impact kept repairmen like Aquantis Dudley busy across Atlanta.
A lot of trees falling,
More signs of the storm's impact are visible here in Atlanta's Morningside neighborhood. But despite the sporadic damage, a Georgia Power spokesman said power was being quickly restored.
Overnight, we had roughly 30,000 people without power. But as soon as it was safe, crews were able to go out and start repair work on that power. And it's certainly the goal to have everybody back on power tonight.
Despite the damage, Morningside residents Spencer and Bryce Harvey said the storm's impact in their neighborhood could have been worse.
Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
But yeah, woke up very, very thankful that we dodged it this time.
A sentiment shared by Georgia Power spokesman Matthew Kent.
As with any storm, you never know what's going to happen. It could have been worse than this. We're certainly happy that it is not worse.
In Atlanta, Zach Merchant, 11 Alive News.
Here are some more of your pictures coming in from across Metro Atlanta. This is in Smyrna, the community of Providence. You can see downed trees from Nissa Mills. And check out this video. A family in Noonan woke up to a big tree in their backyard after just missing their back porch. You can even see the lightning in the background of this video Chad Austin sent us. It looks like the tree may have damaged their fence. And then on the edge of Marietta in Cobb County, you can also see this large tree fell down in the parking lot of an apartment complex. Luke Hammond sent us this photo from Powder Springs. You can see there's a lot of debris on the ground, and that tree has split from the top from that lightning there. So crazy pictures and videos that we've been seeing across the southeast from Saturday night. Paulding County was not the only place in Georgia that saw a tornado on Saturday night. South Georgia also saw a devastating tornado. An EF1 was reported Sunday morning around 6:30 a.m. in Mitchell County. The severe weather left behind a wide path of damage in both Pebble City and Sale City. There are reports of structures being damaged, trees uprooted, and power outages. You can see that crazy video there. Some highways are also blocked by downed trees and debris. Governor Brian Kemp declared a state of emergency before the storm came through the state, and that allows emergency officials to mobilize extra resources quickly. Well, for 3 days, it was a violent, relentless attack across the South and Midwest. Tornadoes, hails, flooding rains, wildfires, dust storms, vehicles tossed and turned over, trees and power lines snapped and pulled to the ground, entire neighborhoods torn apart, and at least 40 people lost their lives after a string of severe storms. Use this time to make a plan for your family so that you are prepared the next time severe weather strikes. With your Weather Impact Report, I'm Danielle Moss.